What's up you guys, Sasha here, and today I just wanted to release a video outside of my normal Monday, Wednesday, Friday routine because there's a couple of things that I just wanted to tell you about because I am investing in these two stocks and they are likely to go through some really interesting times over the coming couple of weeks. So I just wanted to go and put a few minutes worth of my thoughts on these. Now, just before we get into them, this is not financial advice. I'm just telling you my personal opinion on things that I am personally invested in. So if you're making your own financial investment decisions, make sure that if you do require advice, you go and consult a suitable professional. Now, there's two stocks that I am personally really excited by. The first one is the one that everyone is talking about, and you probably have seen some other videos or some other people discussing what the potential near future and midterm future for the company looks like, and that's Tesla. And I'm going to get into that. The second one, in my opinion, is a little bit more exciting. I haven't seen other people really talking about it or discussing any of the merits of it, and that one is definitely one of the below the radar ones. But let's talk about Tesla first, and then I'll come to why there's this other share that I'm very excited to be investing in right now. Now, the first one we're going to talk about is Tesla. Now, Tesla's stock price over the last few months has grown quite considerably. It's now sitting at about $1,643. That's more than double what it was in April and has been growing quite consistently over the last few months. Now, there's a few different reasons why the Tesla share price has been performing so well recently. Let's talk about some of the basic underlying performance figures first. In the last quarterly earnings call that Tesla announced a few months back for quarter two, they made over 90,000 vehicles worldwide, which is astonishing. It is below the same quarter the year before, but given the fact that their factory was closed for something like half of this period, and given the general economic situation that has happened in the world, it is incredible that their performance figures have only dipped such a small amount. Now, in November 2019, they've announced that they're going to build a brand new gigafactory in Berlin that will produce Tesla cars for the European market. And that's super exciting because first they said that they're going to produce the Model Y. There's some people saying that they'll probably also produce the Model 3 that is becoming very popular. But there is a lot of people discussing, and Tesla's sort of hinting about the fact that they might even begin producing a new model specifically designed for the European market and European cities, so a slightly more compact version of the Tesla Model 3 potentially. That's really interesting, and construction has already begun. It is underway. There's a lot of work going on. They are planning to actually have it ready by 2021, at which point they're going to begin producing 10,000 cars per week. Yeah, that's right, 10,000 cars per week. That's 120,000 cars a quarter just from that Berlin factory. So the prospects for growth are pretty phenomenal. Now, the reason everyone's getting really excited about Tesla at the moment is they have reported 3 consecutive profits in their quarterly earnings calls. Now, the S&P 500 will admit them if they report a profit in the one that's coming up tomorrow. And that's really exciting because the moment a company goes into a massive index, one of the world's biggest indices out there, it forces everyone who has any form of index fund, all the different pension funds that hold various index-based investments, they all have to go and buy Tesla stock to be part of their portfolio. And given that the Tesla valuation is very high, it means that when they have to be bought by various index funds, they have to buy quite a large amount of it in order to make the proportions right within their mix of companies. Now, analysts, YouTube channels, investment professionals, everybody's debating really hard whether or not they're going to turn a profit. And the truth is, I don't think it really matters too much if you're investing for the long run. If they do great, they're going to enter the S&P 500 and their share price is likely to continue growing because there's going to be such a massive amount of demand for it. If you look at some of the other companies that have recently entered, their price jumped at the point when they entered the S&P 500 and just continued growing from there as they became part of the index. Now, there are two other routes in which Tesla might go if they don't turn a profit. The first one is they might just go and do exactly the same thing next year, but the problem is by that point you will be 1 year behind on the investment and the share price will probably have risen in that time. They will have gone and developed a bunch of stuff which they haven't developed yet. They will have had a lot more sales and their targets will be that much further. So waiting until next year, in my opinion, is not going to actually be a net positive decision. I think if you think they're going in the right direction, I would be investing right now. Now, the second route trade they might take is they might enter the S&P 500 index even if they don't turn a profit. And the way this can happen is the committee actually has a right to decide in exceptional circumstances to admit companies who don't fulfill all the different criteria that are required. And this doesn't happen very often, but in cases of exceptional companies doing exceptional things, this can happen, and it actually says so in their mandate. So who knows, this could also be on the cards. So enough about Tesla, let's talk quickly about the second stock that I'm super excited about, and that is Sony. Now, this is one that you might be surprised to hear because nobody is really talking about it, but hear me out. First off, let's talk about their performance figures in the last annual report that only came out relatively recently. Their group revenues are down 5% to $75.7 billion. Their group profits are down 36% in the financial year to March 2020 to $5.34 billion. Worse still, their own projections for the next financial year are actually even worse. They were saying they're going to still dip from the previous year's numbers, and that was before the entire economic situation changed in the second quarter of this year. More recently, Sony have come out and said they're expecting something like a 30% downturn in their performance because of the changes in consumer behavior and the changes in their outlook for the various markets that they're in. So why would anyone want to buy them? And the answer is simple. Just like with the previous conversation, I'm investing in companies that I think have a long-term, very positive future because of the way they're structured, the way they're going about their business, and the kind of things they're trying to target. And Sony is 100% in that list of companies for me. Two of the big components of their business are their music and their Sony Pictures part of the business, which are producing movies and various different music. Now, they have taken quite a substantial hit during this period, and that's probably going to take some time to recover, but they do have a really robust platform, so while it may take them some time to recover, I have a feeling they're going to recover at least as well as the average and probably above average. Sony have quite a collection of movies that they've actually produced that are ready for release, but they haven't been able to release due to the lockdown. So once the theaters open, once people begin watching movies again, they have ready-made material that is ready to go. The music industry will rebound as well, just as time passes and things normalize. So I'm relatively confident that after this period ends, those two parts of the business are gonna do all right. Within the music side, they've actually sold their share of the Got Talent and the X Factor that they owned to Simon Cowell. So now they're out of that part of the business, they can look to more future-oriented models rather than having stakes in things that are sort of beginning to go out of fashion. Now, many critics have said lots of negative stuff about their mobile phone division. A lot of people have been saying that they should sell it off, they should just get rid of it. It's not very profitable, it doesn't do particularly well, but there are two massive reasons why I'm kind of excited about the fact that they still have it. The first big reason is their latest phones are becoming really quite good. Now, they're still not anywhere near the size of Samsung or any of the other big producers of phones, but the quality of their phones, together with the cameras they're putting in them, is really growing incredibly, and I think that's going to result in an increased market share and that division to actually grow over time. The second big reason, and again I haven't really heard anyone talk about it, is they get to practice their imaging and their sensor technology in their cameras on their own phones before they go and distribute it to everybody else. And the beauty of that is they are a huge player in the imaging and sensor sector. In fact, more than 50% of the world's image sensors are produced by Sony for all the different camera and phone manufacturers out there. That is an incredible statistic. Just think about it. Everyone is taking photos and videos are becoming the way that people are consuming information, and Sony produces more than half of the ways in which all of those pictures and videos actually get captured. Talking about video, on the 28th of July, Sony have a big announcement that is coming up, and they are going to release the Sony a7S III. Now, if you're not into cameras, you probably don't know what that is. It's not really that important, but I think it's a game-changing product that is going to redefine the photo and video industry, and specifically the video industry. This camera is breaking so many rules that I think it will place Sony far ahead of its competition in terms of video making equipment. They're not chasing megapixels, they're not trying to produce a camera that has 60 like Canon or some other people. They're not producing a camera that shoots in 8K or 12K or any other ridiculous resolution that nobody uses and that produces such big files nobody can actually work with them. They are basically producing a video camera that will be the absolute best tool for people producing video just like what I'm making right now. And just like I mentioned before, video is gonna become an absolutely huge way in which people consume information, exchange information, and in which people learn, and I think that is a massively understated thing. I think a lot of people are not really looking at that side of how we are evolving in our consumption of information, and the people who are currently making the best tools for it, I think can do really, really well over the coming few years. If you think cameras are not that big a deal in the grand scheme of the Sony Corporation and the number of different products they produce, let me just tell you this: electronics and imaging, of which cameras and sensors are a quite substantial component, form 40% of Sony's total revenue. It forms 1/4 of their cash flow numbers and 55% of their operating cash flow. It is incredibly important to the business, and if those parts begin doing better because their own cameras are being sold very, very actively, and because other people begin buying those 12 megapixel sensors that they are now going to be producing, or whatever direction that goes in, I am super excited by it, and I think that's a massive, massive win, not in the next few weeks, but in the next few years. Last, let's talk about the one other thing that nobody seems to be talking about to do with Sony, and that is gaming. Gaming is something like 1/4 of Sony's entire global business, and they have announced a few months back that they're going to be releasing a brand new PS5 console in time for Christmas. Those plans are apparently still underway, and if they go and release a console that is genuinely as good as they're saying it is, I think the sales in that division are going to go through the roof in the next 2 to 3 years. Especially with people not buying much other stuff during this year, not traveling, not spending money in other ways, I think there's a massive opportunity for them to capitalize on that. Now, some people have said that their new PS5 looks a little bit like a Wi-Fi router or something else like that. I actually think it looks phenomenal. I think it will fly off the shelves. I think people are going to really get behind this product. They haven't released a PlayStation for years and years. So releasing a product that is so new and so good, I think is going to do wonders for the company. The fact that Sony is doing so many really amazing things over the coming weeks and months makes me super excited about the direction for the company over the following few years, irrespective of anything that the earnings calls are saying and the analysts are predicting in terms of numbers, because I'm interested in what the long-term objectives for the company are and where the long-term performance might end up based on what they're doing for the customer. Now, if you disagree, please leave a comment below. I'd really love to hear. I'm really interested in your opinions. If you like this kind of video, make sure you hit the like button. I really appreciate it. It's really great for the YouTube algorithm to get this type of information out to more people more quickly. If you're interested in a channel that talks about personal finance, talks about investments, that talks about personal finance products, reviews them, and if you're interested in product reviews without the roasted in spectacles that you often see when people are doing reviews that they kind of get paid for, or that are in some way sponsored, or where they don't really understand the goods and the bads of what they're reviewing, make sure you hit the subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell so you get notifications every time one of my videos comes out. I'll see you guys later.